Trying to explain death to small children was a very difficult task. We held a school assembly, very, very elaborate and beautiful school assembly, where the students lit candles. We ensured that we rearranged the class so that the desk does not represent a gaping hole. Yes, so that's how we helped the students to cope with it. And of course, the counselors came in as well. We get into this space of teaching, and we sometimes forget that some of this trauma are carried into adulthood.
This is the Unapologetic mic, where unspoken words finally find a voice. No scripts, no filters, no judgment. Speak your truth, own your story.
That day started like any other. Pupils came into class noisy, some late, others while trying to finish their homework. You were there, laughing and chatting with your grade 1 friends before the morning bell rang, calling everyone to assembly. Nothing warned us that by mid-morning, everything would change. After the morning lesson came break time, you were eating your snack with others. Then suddenly, you went quiet. At first, it didn't look serious. Then you stood up, and the way you looked at your friends made them know something was wrong. Your hands went to your throat, and in that moment, panic took over. Teacher John rushed to the staff room and called me to your class. We tried to help you the best way we knew how. Calling your name, telling you to breathe, telling you it's okay. We tried first aid by encouraging you to cough and attempting back blows to clear your airway. When I saw you were having difficulty breathing, I carried you and we ran. I remember shouting for someone to open the gates and for someone to call an ambulance. Everything was happening so fast, but at the same time, it felt like time had slowed down. The ambulance seemed like it was taking forever. So we put you in a school van and drove to the hospital. I kept talking to you. You'll be okay. We're going to the hospital. I said it again and again. Like maybe if I believed it enough, it would happen. But somewhere along the way, you went quiet. When we got to the hospital, they told me you were already gone. That is a moment I don't even have words for. I stood there with the van driver and Teacher John in shock. We could not comprehend what had just happened. I had to find a way to tell your parents that though that thought made me sick to the stomach, Rael, that call broke me. How do you tell a parent the child is gone? A child who woke up healthy? I tried to speak properly, but my voice kept shaking. I kept wishing I was wrong. Maybe there was still something that could be done. On the other side of that phone, I could hear everything fall apart. And as if that wasn't enough, we had to go to the police station to report. Sitting there trying to explain what had happened, answering questions by step, what you were eating, where you were sitting, what time it was, what we did, all of it felt unreal. Coming back to school after that was hard. Your classmates kept looking at your seats. Your desk mate asked, "Teacher, Rael ako wapi?" And my heart just sank. Others did not say anything, but you could see they were confused. Trying to explain death to small children was a very difficult task. We told them gently that he would not be coming back, that sometimes when something happens to the body, a person goes and does not return. As teachers, we were also trying to hold ourselves together. We kept asking ourselves, what if? What if we had noticed further? What if we had done something differently? Those questions did not leave. They followed us even when we went home. At your funeral, everything felt heavy. Seeing your small casket and the pain in your parents' eyes was heartbreaking. Your classmates came to say goodbye, some holding their mom's hands, some just looking around and not understanding why everyone was crying. That is when it really hit us. You are not coming back. Rael, you were such a light in that class, and we miss you so much. With love, Teacher Milka. Okay. Yeah, this brings so many memories to rushing by. Somehow grief is something that unfortunately we don't talk about, we don't address, because we don't know how to address it. And here is a teacher trying to come to terms with the loss of their student. And that's what people don't realize, is that teachers also, they become attached to the students, and they take them as their second family. And if you look at this class community, of course, there's a teacher, there's the classmates and all that. But just to think of, as a teacher, a child passing away in your hands, that enmity and that trauma could also be, and maybe it's a blessing that the last person who held the child is a teacher. But no, we don't look at it that way. We look at it more as a traumatic aspect of it. And again, explaining to the class, to the students at that particular level, what exactly transpired. So these are some of the unscripted aspects of teaching that the framework, the curriculum, designers, the professors will never catch. And it's something that maybe theoretically we can talk about grief, but practically it happens and we don't know how to address it. So just to borrow on a few things, one, just to maybe share some of my experiences with grief in school, and losing a student, losing a teacher, losing a parent is always enormous. So maybe just let me share a few experiences and how we so a similar one happened exactly 7 years ago, I think. 2021, I think so. Yeah, and this family that was going to Mombasa, and they were involved in an accident. And the whole family was there, the two parents and the two siblings and a driver. And one of the two girls passed away. The younger one passed away. She didn't pass away at the accident scene. They had to evacuate her, took her to ICU. So she passed away after about 5 days being in the ICU. And that time I was a head teacher at the school. And I got the news during the school holidays, and I had to rally the students and the community and all that. So we managed to attend the funeral as a class. The parents came with the children, 8-year-olds. Being a Muslim burial, only the male could attend the burial, the actual burial. The ladies attended later. But when it came back to school, there was that heaviness and that emptiness. So to help the children cope with that transition, we held a school assembly. Very, very elaborate and beautiful school assembly where the students lit candles and placed them. And something very amazing, there was this kind of gush of wind that came, but the candles did not go out. Then later on, we planted a tree, and the children started taking care of the tree. But something we forgot, a very minor detail we forgot. We forgot to remove her desk in class. So each day the students would come and they'd look over, empty desk. And they would look, empty desk. So one parent came and told us that my daughter has said that she cannot stop looking at the girl's desk. So that's when we said, oh, okay, we forgot those minor details. So we had to remove the desk and explain to the students why we are removing the desk. And we ensured that we rearrange the class so that the desk does not represent a gaping hole. Yes, so that's how we help the students to cope with it. And of course, the counselors came in as well. But it's not only losing a classmate that kind of becomes traumatic for students. Exactly a year ago, my immediate former school, we lost a teacher. And he was a teacher, he was a grade 2 teacher. So these are 7-year-olds. So the aspect of death and permanency does not actually occur to them. And for us to open the new term, we had to go to class and explain to the students that the teacher is not coming back because he died. And do you know the meaning of death? Of course, at that time is like, yes, have you ever lost someone? Yes, my father passed away, and this is what my mother said, and all that kind of thing. So that whole conversation of death. But in terms of closure, again, we had a whole school assembly. We had a class assembly. He was also a Scouts patron. So we had a Scouts patron assembly, and all the Scouts, all the students and the parents came in, and we had an elaborate session, candlelit, and we talked about it. As a school, as a class, we wrote tributes, and we had a bulletin specifically dedicated to him, and the students were able to see their dedication amongst the others in the school. And then during assembly as well, we had 1 minute silence. And sometimes we kind of move on, thinking that the children have moved on, but you keep on getting these relapses. Out of nowhere, a child comes and calls you the name of the teacher. Or out of nowhere, the child just says, oh, I miss my teacher. I wish he was here. He's the only one who could understand me. And that's when it occurs to you that this is actually a permanent scar. It just never goes away. It never goes away. However much we move on, however much we get drowned in work, in other vices, grief just never moves away. And sometimes they come in waves. For me, the biggest wave was in September 2013 during the Westgate, and found me in the middle of a community school in Parklands. And we ended up losing, I think, 4 students or 3 students, 2 parents, 1 grandparent, endless scars, on people, hospitals and all that. And as a school community, it took us a long time. And this happened in September, and a month or 2 later, we had Diwali, festival of lights and crackers and all that. I'm telling you, the trauma that sent through the school when the crackers, it was just too much. It was just too much. So it was the same thing. We had staff, traumatized staff. We had traumatized students. We had a traumatized parents community. We had all these kind of communities. And I told the staff, we have to find ways of talking about this in class. And that's why I talked about the unscripted. It doesn't appear anywhere in the syllabus or in the curriculum or in the exams. But for weeks, we had to address the issues. Some of the students did not want to come to school. They didn't want to leave home because they felt like if they leave home, they wouldn't go back. Some of the parents, on dropping the kids, they didn't want to leave the school compound because they felt that something might happen. I mean, some of the staff had a rough time. So, grief, yes, that is a human aspect of education that we keep on forgetting. That we don't teach subjects, we don't teach curriculum, we don't teach textbooks, we don't teach desks, we don't teach exams, we teach human beings. And through this of teaching human beings, the only way we can connect is by talking about the things that people cannot talk about. To my fellow teachers and caregivers who are found in school, sometimes we tend to bury these things under the carpet. And when one counselor asked me, "Hey, Cliff, how do you debrief?" So it's a question, how do we debrief as teachers? We should not assume that we will just bury ourselves in work and the pain will go away. So debrief is very important. And for debrief to happen, you need to find what are your triggers and what are the areas that you need to address. And maybe, just like sometimes the medics will tell you, you need an annual medical checkup to see how healthy you are. Maybe, just maybe. The teachers also need debrief on an annual basis. Because it's not only about grief as well, it's about all the negative aspects that we carry into teaching. And then now when something like bereavement happens, it compounds the whole issue. So check yourself. Talk to a therapist. Sometimes if the therapists are not available because of expenses, talk to some of the training centers. They always have services that can be provided to school communities, either for free or at a discounted rate. But talk to an expert. It's very, very, very important. And maybe this is where the ladies beat the men, because they don't keep it to themselves. They talk and talk and talk, and they will talk to 30 people about it. By the time they've had 30 different opinions, they've actually managed to find 1 or 2 that is going to work for them. The men keep quiet, so they don't talk about it. So we need to talk. We need to talk about this. Secondly, we, as teachers as well, curriculum aside, I know a number of schools that have got what sometimes they call the 0 period. And the 0 period is whereby anything and everything goes. There's no curriculum, there's no teaching during that time. So you can talk about anything. You can talk about the emerging issues in the world, like the war in the Middle East. You can talk about inflation. You can talk about mandamano, anything that is not in the curriculum. And when such a thing happens and bereavement, then you can talk about death, you can talk about separations, you can talk about that. So intentionally create that space within your school where you have zero period. Sorry, teachers. Remedials is not the most important thing in a school, right? Back to humanizing education. So create that space. And thirdly, create a system, create a culture, create an environment where students are free to talk. Whereas this bereavement is something that happened in school, what about if it happened at home and this child does not know how to open up? And the child maybe has missed school for a number of days, come with homework not done, and what do? The first thing is that you lash out at the student or you punish them. So create that atmosphere where they can talk about it. And bereavement, for the bougie guys, can laugh about it and say that, this child just lost a pet. Really kadogi too, loss is loss. Does not matter whether the child pet is a chicken and you guys slaughtered it, it is a loss. Or it's a rabbit or a goat and you guys ate it, this is loss. So create that moment where the students can talk about loss, can talk about bereavement. Sometimes also separations in families, right? That's also loss because the children, someone is not dead per se, but they have lost as well. And even for you as teachers, also create that space as well if you're going through the same kind of loss and kind of bereavement. So whatever kind, create that space. Let's have people talking about these things. So we get into this space of teaching and we sometimes forget that some of this trauma are carried into adulthood. And that's why we end up with sometimes what they call difficult adults and very, very socially divergent adults, because some of these traumatic issues were not addressed at the school level or at earlier level. So all the spaces, family spaces, church spaces, religious spaces, school spaces, football academy spaces, sports academy spaces, all those spaces that take in minors, let us ensure that we do not only focus on our primary objective, that is, taking care of those students, whatever they have come for, but we take care of the secondary objective as well, which is the human being. Let's not forget that. At the heart of it all, it's a human being that we are taking care of. Thank you.